What's up? It is your boy Wham. This is the show that gives you the game you need to know, intelligent topics, no drama, no gossip. I am here now with the one and only AK and a new guest on the show, Mr. Jacob Lebowski?
Lostoski.
Lostowski. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
You sound like me on the street that day, bro.
Hey, sound it out. Jacob Lostowski.
I could not say that man's name for nothing that day.
Okay, and just to give people a little background, what is that? Is that Polish?
Lithuanian, but yeah.
We all play poker. If you don't know, it's to me the world's greatest game. I've always said that there isn't a World Series of dice for a reason, right? There's a World Series of poker.
It should be.
It's a small community, but everybody in the community is welcoming for the most part. Likes to share knowledge, and you gotta have money, right?
There actually might be a World Series of dice.
Probably in the Marcy Projects.
It might not be that big, but there's a World Series of dominoes.
One of the things about poker, you can play cash, you can play tournament. I'm not a very good tournament player. I don't have the patience. This guy to my left and this guy to my right, they are very good tournament players. And we're here to talk about Jacob's big win. We're not going to talk about how much he made because we don't want nobody coming after him. But he made probably what teachers make in Mississippi for the year. And that's a chop. And what chop means is it was divided. So if he had actually went the full way, he would have made even more. But just tell us a little bit about how you felt playing at the final table of this big event.
Yeah, so at the final table, actually I started to kind of loosen up because when you play in a field this big, I think it was like 1,112 players or something like that had entered, and you actually make it to the final table, like you kind of have to just enjoy the moment.
Yeah, it's huge.
I started to notice some of the other players start to shake and start to get nervous, and to me, I was just trying to smile, have a good time because these are those special moments you got to enjoy when you're actually in there, and if you don't have fun, like why are you even playing at the same time? So
100%. AK, anytime you have questions, please usher in.
For sure.
My next question would be how many bullets? Once again, a bullet is how many times you entered in. So, for example, if it's $100 tournament and I have 5 bullets, that means that I paid $500 and I went 5 times. How many bullets were you in?
So I ran super good in this tournament. This was a double bag tournament. I fired in the first flight. I bagged the first flight.
Nice.
And then I fired again, didn't bag, only fired 1 bullet. And then I fired another bullet and I got a second bag. So 3 total bullets, 2 bags, and then just sun ran to the final table.
That's solid.
And I guess before we get into some of these hands, in terms of being at that final table, is there any advice you would give to yourself knowing what you know now being at that final table?
I mean, I know a little bit more about some of the players that were there now after reviewing like kind of the hands and watching through the live stream and seeing how they were playing and then kind of learning from other people who some of those players were. It definitely would have changed maybe how I approached some of the things, but kind of my strategy going in there is it's me versus me. And I'm going to try to play my hands as best as I can with the information that I have, try to gain as much information as I can throughout the final table and put myself in a good position to win.
This wasn't your first final table, was it?
In a big event,
big tournament.
in a big event, yes, but not ever. So I've played some smaller ones. I've been on the final table live stream 2 other times before that.
Okay, cool.
At TCH.
How do you feel like this one compared to those times, especially with them being previously? Like, do you feel like you were more prepared? Do you feel like you had more comfortability at the table? Do you feel like you just had like a sense of like, oh, I've been here before, so it's not that like crazily new to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having those experiences on a live stream, like specifically, definitely helped because whenever you haven't been on a live stream before, like the lights can kind of like psych you out a little bit. Like it's hot up there.
Yeah.
You're on the big stage. People are kind of like turning their heads and paying attention. So I can see where the nerves come from. And like the first time I was on one, I was a little bit nervous, but to me, it makes me elevate my game because I really don't want to look stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and at the same time though, if I do, I do. So not hamstringing my play, but wanting to elevate my play by having the pressure on me. I think it actually does help.
I feel like too, like tournament live stream final table is very different from any other kind of live stream because like cash live stream, you can kind of come and go as you want.
Right.
It's a little bit more lax. You don't have to pay. So like we're in a tournament, like there's a finite amount of chips that you're trying to be number one. You know, you're not like you can't wait for specific hands. And then like because of people being able to see your hands later on, you're like, I want to play GTO, which is game theory optimized, if you didn't know what that meant. But like, I want to play the best poker that I can play in this spot. You know, I played on some live streams, like cash live streams, and you get into spots where you're just like, I don't want people to feel like I'm tight, so I'm just going to like play this hand here. Whereas in a tournament, like, it's more like I want people to know what I'm actually, like, I know what I'm doing. So there's certain spots you don't, necessarily get into. So I feel like that's huge, like a big difference. Have you ever played like cash live stream? Or?
I have one time, and definitely it's a different mentality. Like in the cash live stream, you want to give a lot of action because you want to be able to get invited back to the game. Or, Or if you're not giving the action, then it's boring for the viewers. But on a tournament, you're playing for huge money. You're gonna just play your game, how you play it, and you're gonna make the adjustments when you see someone do something out of line or crazy, and then if you see them starting to tighten up. There was a guy in the tournament that was the chip leader coming into the table, and he started playing completely different than how he was all day. All day he was loud, like talking trash to people, but in a good way, like a nice guy. But like he was letting people know he had the goods, and then when he got to the final table, he started shaking, stopped talking, and just weird. So you kind of see those dynamics shift, and you start to think, I can find these spots that are a little bit outside of what I would normally do, but you got to take those chances to win the tournament.
Yeah. I feel like too with the live stream final table, like especially when you're playing with people who probably haven't been in that space more, you can put a little bit more pressure on people just because they don't like if there's no body that can see what they have, they fold a hand, they can get away with being like, oh, maybe I should have done something differently, or maybe I could have called that when like normally I would have folded it. But in a live stream situation, people are going to be even tighter, in my opinion. So like playing in position, playing hands that being way more aggressive, 3-betting people, like, because when they get to these spots where they're like, oh, the pay jump is bigger, like, maybe I shouldn't do X, Y, and Z in this spot. It's an interesting space to be in, so it adds a different element to it.
Definitely, yeah. And I think that if I'm feeling the pressure, like, I want to look good on the tournament, so is everybody else at the table.
Yeah.
You kind of see that, like some of the hands that I reviewed, people were making some pretty tight folds because I think part of it is the fact that they don't want to look bad on the stream. Like, man, if I lose with this hand, what are my friends and family going to say? So,
like, I don't want to call off ace queen right here. Everybody knows there's a parking lot hand.
Yeah,
exactly. But I think really like the hardest thing about poker sometimes is because there's money involved and because there's like the level of like, oh, I would like to get first. Like, sometimes we start thinking about things and you're like, man, like king jack here, like, do I want to get it in with this hand? Like, I feel like I could wait for, an ace jack or like an ace high hand. But like really doing what you're supposed to do in each spot is the goal, So that's the hardest part, like knowing what to do in those spots, and exactly. It changes,
And that's what I mean by like the me versus me mentality. Because it's just like having the guts to do what you're supposed to do. What you train to do, what your strategy is, and actually just playing it.
All right, and with that said, we're going to go. Check your phone. I want you to hold that. So this hand right here, Jacob is under the gun 2, okay? It goes button, small, big, under the gun 1, under the gun 2, okay? So that means once under the gun 1 folds, Jacob's first to act. Small and big blind have not acted yet. Jacob here gets queens. Jacob bets 160,000. You have 1.7 million chips. What makes you bet about 10%? Is that something that you were like, if I get something here, I'm going to bet 10% with hands bigger than jacks? Or did you just feel like this would be a good sizing amount to get all the bad hands out?
So there were some dynamics at play. There was one guy in seat 9, I think, that had a short stack, like 3 big blinds left. And at this point, most of the hands, I don't want to go broke, but at the same time, like queens is just too much of a hand to fold. So I'm going to open all of my strong hands here for a min raise. And then if I face aggression, I'm going to, whenever I face it, I'm going to have to make the best decision in the moment. But at this point, the weakest hands that I'm going to play the same way. And the strongest hands, I'm going to play the same way. Sometimes I'm going to face aggression and have to fold when I have the weaker hands, and then when I have the stronger hands, I'm just going to have to put the money in, even with the shorter stacks and the potential for pay jumps out there. If I can find a double with a strong hand, that's really the key at this point.
100%. I think 10 years ago, people didn't look at pay jumps. So now people are looking at pay jumps more and more. Once again, the blinds were 40, 80, 80. So him making 160,000 means he just doubles what it was. Now you have you have big blind. Big blind has ace jack off. Big blind eventually jams. Big blind is third in chips. Jacob at this point is seventh in chips. Okay? AK, from your perspective, having ace jack as the big blind, what are you doing in this situation? Are you jamming to see like this gentleman jammed, or are you calling, or what?
So, in my opinion,
Once
what
again,
happened here, Jacob, you opened.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And he was in the big dead blind. He looked down at ace jack. He jammed.
Yes.
Big blind
and
jammed.
He
has him covered. He has him covered
by
3.5
double.
million versus 1.7 million.
Yeah. To me, in that position, that's a punt. But especially because like,
Hey, look, I'm gonna drink to a punt because
Yeah.
I would get the same.
I punted many times.
yeah. I mean,
It's all right
well,
to
because
punt.
when you look at the numbers, like y'all have enough chips back for him to 3-bet there and like get a little bit more information. So like most likely you made it 180. If he made it, let's just say he 3x'd it and he made it 500. I mean, that still puts him
3 million if he has to fold.
Yeah, exactly. So he makes it that puts you like 500, like pretty much you're either ripping it or, I mean, you could call, but like with queens, you're probably just going to get it in right there.
Yeah, we're just.
And then at that point, he can make a better informed decision. It sounds like he had no folds in him with ace jack there, so he just went with it. But like, to me, you kind of want to get a little bit more information, especially he's playing his hand out of position at that point.
Right.
So like that may be another reason why he just ripped it with ace jack. He didn't want to necessarily play it out of position. But like also I think you kind of have to understand like table dynamics and stuff like that. What's his perception of you as a player? Does he think you're just opening here? Are you a super aggressive player? He thinks he can just bully you and like you'll fold to this open. Or does he really want to get it in with ace jack right here? To me, ace jack is a callable hand where like if you're out of position, you see an ace on the flop. All right, cool. You put a little pressure on. Queen comes, you start betting. Well, I mean, obviously, if the river doesn't come an ace or a card that he wants to, you can get away from the hand a little bit cheaper. But I think those are the kind of things that people who haven't been on a final table, people who haven't been deep into a tournament are looking at, you know, especially if there's a pay jump for ace jack. Like, I mean, for where y'all were at.
Right. So I think something that kind of played in. So this guy Winston, I didn't know at the time, but he's like super sick and like he's already made like 300,000 this year in tournaments, and I think he thought I would have to fold a lot here because of the other short stack.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to put the pressure on me.
Yeah.
But I have queens. I'm not going to fold. So
Yeah, for sure.
Also, he has ace jack. He's only losing to ace king, ace queen, kings, and aces. Hypothetically, so it's only 4, right?
But
I mean, but he's also losing to any other pair. So you got to think about that as well. Like ace jack in that position.
Give me ace jack versus fives any day for my tournament.
Yeah.
life.
So I mean, I think
No
maybe
offense.
his process is something like, if I jam here, I'm going to make life really tough for Jacob if he has 7s, 8s, 9s. Something
Yeah,
like
for
that.
sure.
And I mean, he would have if that's the hand I have,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Luckily, I have queens, but
Because I think if you think about it like this, if he had raised as opposed to jamming, and you have queens, well, obviously we're probably getting the money in.
Yeah.
But if he raises and you have a hand like 5s, you either call or you fold.
Right.
You're probably not necessarily jamming with him 3-betting you
Exactly.
out of position. So like that's where you get that extra information in. Whereas if it goes 500 and you just rip it, he can get away from that hand, which most likely would have.
And to your point, I think I would have been more scared if he had made it like 500.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
when he jams, I think that he wouldn't do that with like aces or
Of
kings
course,
because he's
100%.
so scared that I would fold.
Yeah.
And I think he jams in the big blind knowing how powerful they could wake up with it,
Yeah.
right? A lot of times we disrespect the small and big and they just wake up with it. You're like, oh, okay. You just woke up with aces. A little bit. Okay, that's okay. I'll pay y'all. But we go to the flop. Once again, Jacob is actually not going to fold this hand at all because flop is king, ace, deuce of diamonds. He has the queen, ace, king, deuce of spades. Jacob has the queen of spades, which means he's drawing to the nut flush draw.
So sorry, he ripped it. Y'all got it in pre-flop.
Yes.
He ripped,
Okay, cool. So that's
once again, respect to the guy who doesn't tank. My boy said,
Oh,
a
it's
snap call.
It-
You know,
what
there's a
is
lot
that-
of people
what-
who will
yeah.
tank with queens and then call. And just like,
yeah,
fucking
well,
queens.
I have nothing to think about in that
Yeah, you
spot,
have nothing to
really.
think about.
But
Flip it.
the thought process is already kind of going through my head when he starts to tank a little bit. Like, if he has aces or kings here, he's not gonna rip it. So if he rips it, I'm just snapping because I'm gonna have the best hand.
Because you're gonna have the best
hand.
hand.
And pray I hold because I don't want to bust out before this short stack. But
now we go to the flop. It goes king, ace, deuce. How do you feel seeing that ace?
I didn't feel good in the moment, but I had a feeling that I was going to get there because I told the dealer, like, put the spade out there one time. and then a miracle, happens on the turn. But
not a miracle because he's got ace jack, and ace jack means king, ace, queen. With his jack means he's not dead.
Right.
If it was a spade, he would have been dead.
Right.
But he could hit a 10.
Yeah.
But he don't hit it.
And it's funny because the guy to my right, the chip leader at that point, I guess he wanted me to get knocked out. I mean, it makes sense because he would level up, and he's like, "Put a 10 out there." Like, no, don't put that on me, bro.
Which is fair. Like at that point, like anybody, every person who's not getting knocked out, you're just like, please.
I love that, but someone would have got so tilted. Why did you say that?
I just laughed it off because everyone else on the table is thinking it. Like
they
want me to get knocked out, but
they're like, please put a 10. Oh,
yeah.
So cool. You jump here from 7th to 3rd, and just to let me get that back.
Yeah.
How much longer did Winston last after that?
So Winston ended up chopping.
He stayed okay. Okay.
So Winston ended up chopping for 2nd.
Okay.
So 7th. Sorry. Winston ended up chopping. 7th was 5,140. 3rd was 13,860. Just looking at this is about 8, 8, 8, 6, 8, 7, 8, 7, 20. $8,720 is the difference between 7th and 3rd.
And y'all were 7-handed at this point?
At this point, we went down to 8. Or we were still 9-handed.
Still 9-handed, okay.
And there's one guy with like 3 big blinds left, so he's about to get knocked out.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. How did you feel knowing you are in the top 3 chip stacks?
I mean, it felt good at that point. That was like, the whole reason I take that gamble there because at the final table of like any tournament, kind of like the fundamental idea is like you want to make it to the top 3 because that's where the big money is. Yeah. So
and you're looking for double up. You're looking for either double ups or busts with your big hands.
Yeah,
like you see queens and you're like either I'm doubling up here or I'm just out, and that's just what's gonna happen.
I can live with going home if I get it in good and like
you don't want to be like, oh, I got it in with king 7 because I blinded out almost.
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
Just like, king 7.
I folded queens earlier, now I'm getting it in.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So you have to, and I think even just in poker in general, thinking about it in that space, like you want to maximize value with your big hands. Like a lot of times people play hands and then they end up not getting the max value for hands because getting premium hands is few and far between a lot of times.
Right.
Like especially in a tournament. So I think that's a big way to like think about putting pressure on. Like you're like, I'm not folding queens here on the final table.
Right. Exactly.
And
like imagine I fold there and he has ace jack, like I might look really stupid.
Yeah.
And then and just the opportunity to get to the top 3 in chips is huge because from there, I have a realistic shot at actually winning the tournament.
For sure.
And to your point though, like back in the day when I first started playing tournaments, I would try to just like make the money or just fold,
get to the cash
and avoid those like big spots, and then I would end up not making it more times than that because I wouldn't take the spots that you have to take. And so I think that's something I've learned over time is you just gotta make the risks, and the cards are gonna fall however they fall, but you got to be okay with it at the end of the day.
100%. And I have an ethnic look chart, so I joke about certain ethnic groups are better than certain ethnic groups. Like for me, the nuts are Asian and Indians. Anytime an Asian guy goes, fuck it, I'm hot. Even if I have aces, right? We're going to get into this hand real quick, but before we get into the Kings versus King Jack hand, this gentleman gave a certain tails, the wand or the magnifying glass guy. Tell us about what you thought of him speaking to you and telling you, and what information did you gather from this?
So this guy Coltrane, I had been playing with him on day 2 from like the get-go. Like I was at the same table as him, and so I had he was one of the players I had some information on.
Okay.
And he was pretty like tough, like definitely making some moves, getting out of line in some spots, but like in a good way where he was bluffing people off of hands. And he's definitely not playing just ABC poker. So just from that alone, I'm picking up some stuff on him. And then in this hand specifically, he pulls out the magnifying glass, and then I'm able to kind of use that to set him up later. But
perfect. Now we go to Coltrane under the gun having kings, and you and the hijack having king jack suited. He opens, is it 200,000 correct pre-flop?
Yes.
Okay, and then your hijack. So basically, it goes hijack, and then it goes cut off, and then it goes button. Which means is if Jacob makes a good enough raise or flats, and these other two people fold, you're now last to act. I love having old people to my left as the cutoff and button because I know I'm gonna get them out of there. Get that 7-8, get that Jack 9, get that Queen Jack out of there. I want to be heads up against whoever that. So this person raises you and you flat.
Yeah. So there was some like dynamics based on how he had been playing before this. So he was jamming a lot of hands. So like I guess for people that don't know poker, going all in a lot pre-flop. And a lot of those hands were like small pairs, suited broadways. So when he just min raised, alarm bells are kind of going off in my head a little
like
bit.
he wants to see this.
Like it seems like he's trying to like milk like someone into calling, and then he's trying to get value.
Yeah. Real quick, what are the chip stacks in terms of Coltrane versus Jacob?
Jacob has him 2.6, and then Coltrane has 1.8. Well, this is after the bet,
So
I
yeah,
guess
we're
like close to.
So you're ahead.
close.
So you're ahead.
Yeah.
You're ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit. Have him covered by a little bit.
By a little
So
bit.
we go to the flop. You have a flush draw.
Yes.
Not nut flush draw. Second nut flush draw. And he bets.
He bets, and so I think about my options in the spot. Sometimes would raise here, but going back to pre-flop, kind of how I laid it out, like,
Yeah.
I think he has a lot of strong hands here: aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, that kind of stuff. So if I do raise, it's kind of punting, I think, because I'm not really getting him to fold anything. He's probably just going to jam.
And you
back
don't
and-
have the nut flush draw.
And I don't have the nut flush draw. Even if I do, though, I think I still just call there because I don't think I'm accomplishing anything by raising.
Yeah.
Now, in cash, I only run it once. So I always say, if you flop the nuts, Merry Christmas, because I'm going to W up. This guy right here, he doesn't run it twice unless you ask. This guy right here, he'll have aces, jam, and say, do you want to run it twice? So...
No, that's not true.
Okay.
Unless we're playing for like a really big pot.
Fair.
Yeah.
Which was,
if you're playing for a house, then yes.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have
Yeah.
that. When I have flush draws, I check, someone bets, and then I jam. Because I know I only run it once, and I know if I let you see the turn and I jam, you're going to be more likely to call me than not.
And speaking, he's probably talking about he has like $300 in front of him. So, very different situation.
Boo-boo. No.
So if you had $10,000 in front of you, doing the same thing?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Not with King High. Ace High for sure. King High, I'll maybe like four. Okay, but this is cash. In tournament, it's a little bit different, right? So you have second no flush draw, bet, call. Turn, probably the worst card you want to see. It pairs the board.
Right.
Because even if the river comes in, you like it. You still don't like it because he can get butt up.
Definitely don't love the paired board.
Sounds like from his betting size, he didn't like the paired board either.
No, I mean,
I think he thought it was a good. I think based off of his betting size, he thinks he has the best hand because the only hands that really beat him are aces
Whoever flopped the set
and flopping a set. And so you in poker, there's
or ace deuce of spades, but the deuce of spades are there.
sure, yeah. I mean, like, but you're thinking like a lot of novice players think about worst case scenario.
100%.
They're like, oh, I flopped this 7-4 deuce flop. He's got pocket sevens if he's calling, and you're just like, all right, like this is a tournament. This dude could have queen high and just think if he hits a pair, he's good. So like, I think a lot of times like a deuce on that board is a great card for him.
kings, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's why he bet. What looks like he bet almost 1/5 of his stack because at some point he thinks that this could potentially get in, and he's definitely going to call it off.
To me, the turn bet wasn't very powerful. It seemed like he wanted to milk you for sure.
I thought so.
He didn't want to run you away.
I'm making that a powerful one.
Let's ask this question. Why is that?
What's his hand?
Huh? It's kings.
With what? What is suits?
Offsuit. King, diamonds, spade, club.
Diamond club.
Insignificant.
So he doesn't block any flushes.
Right.
He could still potentially lose the ace king, right, of spades. I want to make it tough on the turn if the board pairs and I don't have a spade.
And I think there is some merit to that in the tournament.
Don't
Like,
lie
just,
to us,
just
man.
take it down.
Don't lie to
So
us, man.
you're not making it
Don't
tough.
lie to him, Jake.
Hold on.
Don't tell him that is incorrect.
You're telling
That
me
is not
you're
GTO.
telling me when you're not blocking a flush. If he had the king of spades for sure, I like that bet. But if he doesn't have the king of spades, you're not blocking any spades, and you could still get effed on the river. You're telling me you're still making it. He made it 20% of it. I'm making it 35, 45% of my stack.
Okay, game theory optimized, that's incorrect.
Okay.
But you're playing because you're playing from which most people play from is a scared poker mentality. You do not want somebody to catch up on you. You do not want a spade to come so that you lose this hand. And in poker, you have to extract value, not be afraid of potential value that could come. Because say, for instance, if he makes said bet, a spade comes, and then Jacob leads out. Like, at that point, his kings are significantly less valued based off of any hand, so he can get away from it to play a different day. That's kind of like when you think of higher level poker thought processes, you'll see a lot of professional players not play super aggressive run people out of hands because you want to make the money on the hands because you have the hand. Yeah. No, like the best case scenario, you didn't 3-bet him, so you most likely don't have aces, queens, jacks. You might have pocket sevens, but he's gonna find that information out if he just plays the hand in a normal situation. And that's why I think he was trying to extract value because in this point, he thinks he has the best hand. The deuce comes, that's a great card for him because let's say, for instance, if you, on the off chance, you had 7-4, which is unlikely, now you're counterfeited. Mm-hmm. Like a paired board with an overpair is always pretty great, you know?
Yeah. And I think there's like two ways he can play it. Like you said, like I think in this spot, he's definitely just trying to extract value from me.
Yeah.
If I have a flush draw, if I have some kind of pair, and then I think there's also, he could just rip it here and try and just fold me off all of my equity, take down the pot, and pick up the chips.
If he rips it on turn for sure with your hand. He rips it on flop. I'm calling.
Yeah. Probably. But
it's harder to call. It's harder to call with your hand than to be the aggressor.
Yeah, know? I mean, when the board pairs, if he rips it, I do have to just fold there.
Yeah,
even though I don't think he ever has a boat there because of going back to pre-flop. Like I think he just has a really strong overpair.
Of course, and if he has a boat there, he's definitely not ripping it because he has one of the most premium spots.
He wants me to catch.
He wants you to make a flush. Yeah.
But we go to the river. River is the ace of spades.
And at first, I'm like, let's go.
So what that means is he now has the nut flush, meaning he has the best flush possible. However, since the board paired on the turn, there are many boats out there, including what you were thinking about, it being the ace of aces, right? Aces.
Yeah.
This gentleman would have aces full, but he didn't. He had kings. Now, this is a question that I put in our notes.
He bets the river.
He bets.
Yeah, so it's like sick.
Now, here's my question. AK, you're looking at the hand. If kings jams there, this opponent jams there
on the river.
On the river, do you call?
Snap call.
Having him covered.
Snap call.
You snap call.
Yeah. Okay. Because again, you have to think about
what hands
does he beat you with?
Not even that. Mentally, I called you. I woke up. I was in traffic all day to get this hand to get to the river, and I get a flush.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna fold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this scenario, when he only bets, I think like 700K in that spot, I'm never thinking about folding.
Yeah.
I'm thinking between do I jam all in or do I just call?
Now, why didn't you jam?
Why didn't I jam? Specifically because I have like the king and the jack of spades. I'm blocking a lot of like, if he is playing a flush draw, right? He's gonna have like king x of spades, or he's gonna have jack x of spades, and then there's the ace of spades on the board also. I can't remember the exact board, but
that's interesting because I didn't get to that point. So you just called?
I just call, yeah, because
call's good, but
no. We're being honest here. A call is never good in this spot. You always jam because he only has $1 million back left, and he bet out. So like,
I will disagree.
I know you will. Man.
He already bet. He already gave it to you. Why?
Again, we're not talking about our opinions. We're talking about game theory optimized. In this position, the book will tell you you're ripping it every single time.
But if he thinks he has aces already, aces full gets there.
Yeah. So this it went through my head like I think theoretically I'm supposed to be jamming in the spot, but when I start to like go through it in my head in the spot a little bit. Since I have the king and the jack specifically, like there's not many flushes he can really have in that spot that can call me. Like I'm beating his bullshit hands, right? Like
you're just because you're thinking of it and you're thinking of it. Well, like if I jam, there's nothing he can call me with if he doesn't have the nuts. And again, that is not a reason not to jam. That's just thinking when you think about that, you're like, oh, okay, cool. In a tournament, the whole idea is to, like we said, extract the value. When you make the hand, you have to potentially get it. If he has aces there, then it's just a cooler. At the end of the day, it's just a cooler, and that's what that is. But sometimes you can't be afraid to run into a cooler when you have the hand.
Okay, cool, perfect. Let's just segment real quick. Definition time. Word of the day: cooler. My definition of cooler means that you were never ahead. So you're saying that if a spade comes, this is a cooler for Jacob?
No, I'm saying if an ace of
Sorry,
spades
if the
comes,
ace of spades comes
and he has aces,
Yes.
and he makes a full boat on the river, that is a cooler. Because your definition of cooler is not what the definition of cooler is. A cooler just means two people have made big hands that neither one of them can fold. That's just what a cooler is.
Okay,
King high flush versus ace high flush. You were never ahead with the king high flush. The flush came on the river. You cooler. That's what a cooler is.
Do you think a cooler is something you put beverages in? Because that's my definition of cooler. No, okay. No, I feel you.
And I only say that I'm not trying to give you shit. I'm just saying when we think of these terminologies, you have to think of like what they specifically are and not just like our interpretation.
By the way, I'm a moderator here. He's way better than me. I'm just a fun, aggressive guy to play poker with. That's it.
But I like having that conversation because you represent the average poker player's thought process.
Who gives money away?
Who gives? but not even gives money away. Just it's called leaks. My buddy used to tell me. My buddy is his name is Trick Time. And I've heard of him. Yeah, he plays on the Hustler stream for significant amounts of money. But he's always
Poppy.
Oh, yeah.
But he's
always been like a very aggressive card player. And he's gotten insanely good. Last year he banked 10K mystery bounty at the WSOP for like 650K. Like, so he's played at the top level, played final tables and stuff like that. And so one of the things that he would always talk about is like, oh, that's a leak. That's a leak in your game. A leak in your game is when you're doing something that across the board will lose you money over time. And when you think of a hand like that, across the board over time, not ripping on the river there, because what would happen if he had made a flush as well?
Yeah,
you lose about 1.2 million chips in value that is expected for you that you could go ahead and win that tournament with.
Right.
know?
So that, I mean, all that's going through my head.
Yeah.
Like, in the moment, like it doesn't seem like it, but I think that thought process is a little bit internalized. Like it's like a risk reward. Like
it's hard at that moment.
If I rip it here, is he ever gonna have a flush? And I just kind of determined he didn't have many flushes in his range. Just going back to my read that he had a lot of overpairs. And then I guess you can make the argument: does he ever only bet 700K on the river with aces? Is he ever just not? Is he always ripping it? And if that's the case, then I should.
Because he went 3 streets of value, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about that, like
and pre-flop, do you call that still 3 sheets?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, but I mean, I don't consider it's just the open. But
to me, that's super. To me, that's
because when I have him range to an overpair and that he bets the river, like, and maybe that's like a problem that I have him range that specifically there, but like. Then he bets the river. Like I don't think he's betting with kings there. So when he showed up with kings, I was shocked.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like there's only a few flushes that he can really have there that he wouldn't have like ripped pre-flop. I think because he was pretty aggressive with just ripping a lot of those.
And because you had information about him previously because y'all played together.
So I had seen how he'd been playing, and that's why I ended up coming to just call versus a random opponent. I think I do find the jam there.
Yeah. And I think, and this is why poker is, like you said, you said it's one of the greatest games in the world, is because essentially, like, there's so many different options to be able to do things. And when we talk about, again, GTO, there is one specific option that theory says you're supposed to do in this spot because that's what the numbers tell you to do. But like when you're in that moment, when you're in that spot, your brain takes over and you're like, well, what if this happens? Well, what if this? What are all these situations, you know? And I think that's what I tell people all the time. Like when I play even smaller tournaments, I don't chop. And I don't chop because I want that experience. I want the 3-handed experience where like I hit the flush on the river and the board's paired. I have a really strong hand. I don't have the nuts. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I want to get in the practice of doing what I'm supposed to do every single time. That's what makes you a great player, you know?
And I think that was like this is the hand that I think was the one that I was questioning the most. And then after I just call on the river, like
you're like, fuck,
I'm thinking like man, like am I stupid? Like, is this gonna come back to bite me? Type of thing. But when he shows the kings, I'm like, well, he wasn't gonna call anyway.
Yeah.
But if he had turned over a flush there, I would have. It might have put me into a spot where I have to like, all right, you made a bad play, but you can't go until you can't you can't let it bother you.
For sure.
And I guess like like, is it a bad play if my read was what it was? Like in that moment, I just want to trust it.
Yeah, and you just go with it.
Yeah.
If it's a 10 of spades, 9 of spades, he might jam there.
Yes. Yeah.
Or he might check there. So the fact that it wasn't ace, I called that Chick-fil-A on Sunday. He's saying that you jam. GTO is probably telling you to jam, which is okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the hands that the announcer said Jacob's best hand. You have ace 3 suited. You got 6.2 million chips. There's 2.9 million chips and another 2.6 million chips. From your perspective, I haven't confirmed this, but were these at least like the big 3 stacks that are playing in a hand?
This is the ace 3 hand.
Jacob, Russell, and Winston.
Winston, at that point, I don't think he was one of the big stacks.
Okay.
Russell was kind of like a middle stack.
Okay, 3 million.
And then
it was just 3 people in the hand.
Okay, there's 3 or 4 in that
There's
hand.
3.
Okay, yeah, so they were kind of medium stacks.
Got it. Were you the big stack at the time?
I was the big stack in that hand. I was
Okay.
probably the second in chips or third in chips at that point.
Wonderful. So once again, we're going to show you this. But flop comes 2-3-5, correct, Alan?
2-3-5, yeah, 2 hearts.
Flop a
Winston,
pair.
Russell has hearts.
Yep.
Winston just has king high, and you have a pair of 3s with ace.
So to me, you've outflopped an ace, unless ace 5 is there, right? Ace
Yeah.
2, you beat out. And then with the third player in there, in my head, someone's got 2 overcards.
Yeah.
So someone's probably got to draw. Someone's got 2 overcards, which is still going to keep them in if the betting size is right. What is your, because you lead out here.
Yeah, so...
Real quick, before you get into this, what was the pre-flop action?
So Russell opened, Winston
Okay.
called, and then
It's also on 2.5, so you can go back and play it. And it's on super
Russell
fast.
opened, Winston called, and then I was in the big blind and completed.
Russell opened King Queen or Jack 7.
Jack 7 of
Jack
hearts,
7.
I
So
think.
Jack 7 hearts, straight flush draw.
He was in position.
To me, I was out of position to everyone in that.
Okay.
Hand, so I believe, unless
Yeah, you were first because you bombed.
No,
it.
he was
Yeah,
second action. So Winston was in the small blind. You were in the big blind, and then Russell had position on both of you. Okay.
Yeah, so Russell had been playing pretty tight at that point, so I didn't think he would have a hand like Jack 7 of hearts there.
Mhm.
I thought he had more like 7s, 8s, 9s, and then
And he was the open.
yeah,
he opened?
yeah. So he
Okay.
opened. So I thought he had like a middle pair type of hand, or like he could have a big pair type of hand too, or like some high cards that missed. A lot of his range is that. So when I get that low flop and I have a gutter, it's less likely he has a straight already.
Exactly. 100%.
I also am going to have all the 6-4 in my range too in that spot. So I decided to just lead and think if I go bet, that I'm going to get him to fold 7s, 8s, or 9s by the river.
Mm-hmm.
That was my plan. So
I like it. And real quick, AK, what are your thoughts in a tournament playing Broadway draw hands, meaning 10 and up, Ace 10, Queen Jack, Queen King, King 10, Ace Jack, Ace Queen? What are your thoughts?
It depends on my position, honestly.
Okay.
But I mean, or you ask if you ask a more specific question.
I think those hands get you in so much trouble in those tournaments.
Okay, I don't think about it like that. But
Yeah,
like you
okay.
have like each hand is very situational. So like let's just take
I'm talking offsuit. If you have a flush draw, for sure, I'll play Ace Jack, Ace 10, Queen King, Queen Jack. But if you're playing King Queen off, you're looking for trip kings with a queen kicking at best.
I don't think so. I mean, again, and this is why tournament play poker is so great. Like when I look at this hand and I see like Russell, you said he opened
yeah,
in position with hearts, Jack 7 hearts, which is I like that play. This flop to me is a pretty decent flop for him.
Yeah, he's got a flush draw.
Yeah, when you lead out. For me to see that he called, I was like, oh, that like he misplayed his hand because he was the original raiser. You let out. In my thought process, he has the hearts here. He should have re-raised because most likely if he re-raises his hand, he takes it down right there. Unless you're just like, I don't think he got it.
Well,
You
no,
know?
I mean, he would have probably taken it down because I thought he had a hand, like a middle pair type of hand, or if like you said, like if he has aces or kings, he's just gonna rip it and he's gonna win.
Yeah,
but I thought
exactly,
if he calls, he has like a middle pair type of hand
Mm-hmm.
that I can put a lot of pressure on since I have a much bigger stack than him.
Yeah.
I think there's some dynamics too there, like he doesn't want to like get knocked out of the tournament before the other shorter stacks.
For sure.
So I can put that's what another like element of why I can put a lot of pressure on him. And that's not a play I normally make to just lead out. Like that's something I do maybe once in a blue moon.
But you covered both of them 2x.
Yeah. So I think I can just apply a lot of pressure.
And that's why that's a good play for you, because you, once that flop comes, you take the aggression, and then that makes any of the smaller stacks look at it and be like, well, now I have to really play poker here.
Yeah, and it puts him in a tough spot where it's hard for him to raise because I can actually have like 6-4 there. I can have ace-4.
Yeah.
And having the ace, it makes it less likely he has like a hand that isn't like never gonna fold.
Yeah.
Or is by the river. So that's kind of like the thought process. Bet small here. If I get jammed on, I can just let it go.
Yeah.
And then turn up the pressure on later streets.
And I think that's one of the things that when people read books and play poker, like he probably saw this. He's like, Jack 7 is a decent equity hand with hearts. I'm in last position. All right, cool. That's where the thinking stops for him. It looks like, because he just called on the flop.
I'm plowing it.
When you think about the levels of poker, thinking of poker, like most people play in like the first 3 levels of poker. Not a lot of people play in those higher 5, 6, 7 levels of thinking of poker. And that's where people start differentiating themselves as quality poker players and just like the average poker player, you know? Like it's an interesting hand to watch. And I like how you were like, I feel like I'm ahead in this lead. I have all of the hands that are in this range. Let me take the lead, because this went from him potentially taking down this pot to you taking down.
Because I think he's gonna be scared that I have a set there a lot of the times.
Also, you have to respect big stack, because people who are big stacks, they will call with things. I've seen it in cash as a dealer. I've seen the big stack call with 7 deuce and the flop 7-7 king, and then ace king just jams into the big stack because there's no way big stack could have it, and then they just snap call you.
Because I will have some of the 2 pairs on that board too. So I mean, my thought process, I'm gonna put him in a tough spot.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you bet half pot on the turn, which is like, oh, okay, cool. Like if you don't have anything, you just have to fold, and which he did.
So
no, he had a draw, right?
Yeah, he ended up turning a combo.
That's what I'm saying, but which is crazy because he folded.
When I went back and reviewed, I was like, man, I'm glad I got him off of that.
Yeah,
I got almost 50% equity, and he folded.
Because if he raised on the flop, he takes this hand down most likely. I think. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting.
I mean, it would depend on sizing. Like if you're small,
for sure.
I have a gutter, I might stick around. But then if he jams river,
but that slows you down.
Then, if he jams turn, then I can't continue.
Yeah, or even if that slows you down on the check and he doesn't even jam turn, maybe he bets it where you're just like, maybe it's, but like, cause if an ace comes, like with the 4 coming, well now if a 4 comes, the straight's already there. The 6 is probably like not the best card for your hand, but because you had already been the aggressor, none of them took aggression. You can keep betting it.
So that kind of goes back to the mentality too, in like those moments, like. People aren't going to necessarily find huge bluffs for their tournament life. So I can be confident that if he does start putting a bunch of money in the pot, that I'm just beat. And if he doesn't, then I can be confident to keep putting the pressure on him.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because you could even have a better flush draw than him.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand why he folded. But I mean,
what did he end up getting in the tournament?
He was either 4th or 5th. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he ended up laddering up a couple spots from there.
Okay.
Now we get to my opinion of never chop if you won more. I don't know where AK sits. I don't know where you
never chop if what?
Like, so let's say this tournament was not his biggest win, right? Then I would tell him to keep playing. But if this could potentially be your biggest one, get there so you've crossed the finish line, Chick-fil-A on Sunday, and then you can go on.
So 2 of us, John and I, the guy that ended up taking first, this was his biggest score. This was my biggest score. And then Winston apparently had just had like a 110K second place finish in a WPT event in like Las Vegas or something. And so he was the one that he didn't really want to chop, but we kind of kept pushing him on the deal. He ended up getting better than the ICM chop. So
Awesome. How did you feel when they finally said, all right, we're done?
Chop had never even ran through my mind when the older guy got knocked. He was actually like really sick, like played way different than I thought whenever I reviewed the video. Yeah. But when he got knocked out, the guy John immediately was like, let's do a deal. And that had never actually run through my mind. I hadn't even thought about, we're gonna chop at some point. I was like, in my mind, I'm ready to keep playing. but they made me a sweet deal and kind of some, I guess, background context. Like right before this tournament, my house had got broken into and my whole bankroll got robbed. So
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
I was basically just regrinding my whole bankroll playing 1-2, just like trying to scrape like money from cash to play in some tournaments, and then I get this score and they offer me, the biggest score I've ever won, and so I'm like, all right, like at this point I'm gonna take the deal.
Because if you didn't chop,
it was a $6K difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, I was like, if that amount of money didn't matter to me in the moment, then sure, let's play it out. But
we can still slide on him.
Okay, so with my question in that space is, because I agree with you, like I was just having a conversation with a buddy of mine who I respect his opinion in spots like that, because we were talking about there's some spaces where like chopping is more advantageous, especially when those pay jumps start getting way bigger, and when your chips when you're 4-1, 5-1 chip lead, you're like, I'm gonna like not offer any kind of deal at this moment right now. But like my question to you is, when you think about that spot, did you feel like you had a commanding advantage over those players, or did you feel like it was kind of even? What were the chip stacks in that space?
So things had kind of shifted. At first, all the momentum was going my way.
Yeah.
And at this point, Winston had just knocked out the other guy to take second in chips. I had fallen to third in chips.
Okay.
And then John was still first in chips.
Okay.
And so I had started to realize, like, I didn't know Winston before the tournament. I didn't know about any of his like scores or anything like that. But I had started to pick up like, this guy is like, he might have an edge on me in this. And then John had started to regain his like mojo a little bit. He was starting to talk his shit again. Yeah. He was starting to get looser, play more hands, and put more pressure on me. And I was starting to realize, like, at this point, like they're offering me a pretty darn good deal. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense to take it. Mm-hmm. Versus if I was chip leader at that point, maybe I would be like, no, let's play it out. But at that point, kind of just realizing that one of the players probably has an edge on, being humble to like realize one of the players has an edge on me. The other guy is chip leading and putting a lot of pressure. Yeah. That it's my most likely spot to finish is probably third. I mean, I always want to have the mentality of I want to come in first, but when they're giving you that juice to take the deal, and the background of what had just happened to me, it's like it
makes sense.
It makes sense to me.
And Winston's Asian?
With what?
Was Winston Asian?
I think so.
Yeah. So you're behind in my ethnic look chart, and then
I don't know anything about that. By the way,
you always gotta follow him. He gonna take you somewhere.
The other guy was Anglo-Saxon, right?
I think so.
So at best, you're tied for second.
Yep.
All right. We got 7 minutes. So just wrapping. 5 minutes. So just wrapping up. Did you get new confidence? Did you get new swag? What did you do with some of your earnings? Did you pay off stuff? Did you blow money? Did you go to strip club? Did you go to church?
No, definitely didn't do that.
Go to church.
I should go to church, but no, I definitely had confidence even going into this tournament. I don't know what it was. Had run into some friends during the tournament. Actually, one of the guys in the tournament, Tarek, that made the final table, a pretty good friend of mine. Awesome. And so just like that, plus I had been playing pretty well in cash before this, had built my bankroll up a little bit, and then I had bagged 2 out of 3 of my bullets, so had a lot of confidence going in, and now I definitely have more confidence when I'm playing.
I'll say you got experience. You go check me out on YouTube. I did that. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's very important for people to go in. Like, I always try to do something prior to going into playing poker. Like, either chopping it up with him or talking game, or I go work out, or I do some work, right? So that I know I'm not just going to play poker flat. Yeah. Or I've ate, I think a lot of people don't eat and then they go into poker and they lose hands and now they're hangry and they've lost,
But I still want to like approach everything from like the standpoint of like humility. Like I still have a lot to learn in poker. Like I don't play every hand correct. There's so many concepts that I need to work on that I don't even play well yet. And there's places where people can put pressure on me where I need to learn how to play those spots better. And at this point, like my plan is still to just keep grinding these, $100K 2-day tournaments, these like $300, $400 buy-ins, and prove that that this wasn't a fluke and that I can keep winning consistently at this level. And then if I can, if I can keep building a bankroll, I can keep moving up stakes.
Nice.
Last question for me. Favorite hand?
Favorite hand? I mean, aces for sure. And then I like playing a lot of those hands like 10-9 suited, Jack-10 suited, and the ones that can flop really well, big combo draws and stuff like that.
All right. Any more questions for him?
No, I think because I was gonna ask you what are some things you feel like, what is one thing you feel like you want to work on in your tournament play, but like I think that's really like the assessment after a tournament, like what areas do I really feel like I was lacking in and want to build?
So the area that I've really been working on is just having more aggression in my game. Like I feel good in those spots where you're facing the pressure and it's like check call. But then finding more bluffs is what I've really been working on, and I've been finding it more in a lot of tournaments, and those are like kind of like the things that people don't notice because it's not on stream a lot because at the final table people aren't making big bluffs, but when you're earlier on in the tournament, deeper stacks, you got to find some spots where you can put some pressure on your opponent. They check back flop and you go bet, and they end up folding,
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work, but
but you got to be doing it. It's all about having a balanced game at that point.
So you got to find some plays because then you do get paid off later on.
Yeah.
When you do make a good hand.
Yeah.
And I mean that's kind of been my whole poker journey for me is finding a little bit more aggression here and there in my game.
Yeah.
And then at some points. When I first started playing poker, like I was too aggressive. Like I just I just go bet every time they're gonna fold everything, and it's like no, I'm just punting money. So
yeah.
So then it's finding that happy balance, I guess.
So
I'd say last thing I looked at your game. I didn't see any slow rolls. Maybe you want to add that into.
Sometimes you gotta have it.
Maybe if I get a big one against you, Wham.
No,
there you go.
Hey,
please slow roll him. Please do it.
I dish it so I can take it.
Please
At
do
my
it.
private game, he flops it straight against me, and I only run it once. So I was like, "Hey, you have it?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it."
Yeah.
I was like,
Which that was at that point that was my biggest win in a session. So
yeah. So if you like poker and you want to play some big games and be around some dope people like these two, please hit me up. Last but not least, one of the things I want to stress is driving action and understanding when you need to now be in the back seat. A lot of people will be like I always say, you'll play poker at most poker rooms before 9 o'clock. After 9 o'clock, the people who are divorced, the people who don't pay their child support, the people who punt, they come in and what do? They gamble. So pre 9 o'clock, you're playing people like Jacob or you're playing people like Alan. After 9 o'clock, you're playing people like me. Like I'll call 9-4 for 35 pre-flop and 4-4 jack, and I'm just gonna get it all right. So you need to understand when to drive action and when to get in the back seat and start flatting and start check calling.
Yeah.
Because you cannot beat 2 or more people driving action. If it's me and you, we can control 7 other people. But if it's you, me, and Alan driving action, I can't control 6 people. So I'm going to sit back. I'll let you drive the action. Yep. I'll let Alan drive the action. And then I'll be in between. And sometimes I have to make folds because there's certain people that you'll never get your money back from in cash.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we've all been in that game, right, where it's a bunch of old dudes and you lose $100. You're like, man, I'm just never gonna recover.
Back.
And you're in the car asking yourself, why did I call Jod when he's only played 1 hand in 1 hour?
Literally.
And he 4-bet me. And I had Jack high, knowing he has queens, kings, or aces. And I call him anyway.
Yeah,
and the flop's Jack high. And I just pay him off. Yep. So with that said, I want to appreciate Jacob for coming through. Awesome guy. If you have a business and you're looking for security, VSI Secure is one of the best security companies in the Austin area, in the Texas area. They just give you the best service possible from start to finish. They're not just a bouncer. They're not just going to check IDs. They're going to do everything that you want from a security company to make sure that the consumers and patrons that come in your business feel good. And if there are bad apples, they will be able to remove them professionally, and they'll be able to assist you with any other needs you have. So if you are in the area looking for the top security company in Austin, I would recommend VSI Secure. With that said, I'd like to thank AK. I'd like to thank Jacob. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back real soon.